So, good morning for everyone. So we are going to discuss about event-driven architecture with SAP. Generally, SAP come up with event-driven architectures, and generally with cloud integration suite, we have this event-driven architecture, which will be called as event mesh, and we have two options like event mesh, advanced event mesh. We have two things which we are going to learn. The basic high level concepts we can learn from this video, and later going further we can see on the system how we can able to see the event driven architecture works on the platform of SAP integration suite. Okay, and generally what is event driven architecture? Okay, how it will work with SAP? So generally here SAP has come up with one of the main powerful shift, that is called event mesh. Event mesh is something like uh, whatever the event, which is event means there is a small there is a change which will be happened, either it may be in the S4 HANA system or it may be the publisher, event publisher. So there may be a change which will be order ID creation, it will be something like invoice creation, okay, or something the state of change, it is called event. Okay, whenever the event is triggered in particular S4 or backend system, it will be processed via event mesh architecture. We will going through further, we will know and we can able to understand what is event driven architecture with the basic general life examples. So let's go one by one. So here in this slide we are going to discuss about the event driven architecture, and here you can see that event driven architecture which is having the main shift of the communication to the integrations. Okay, and also we have the explore events of significant changes in the state. So there are a lot of changes in the state will happen for the particular events in the SAP system, and it may be like we discussed order changes, it may be the table creation, it will be the update in the new update of a record in the table that will be automatically triggered an event, and that event will be processed via the cloud service interfaces like integration services, or it may be via the architecture which will be already designed in the system. Okay, and main thing here we can about also understand this in this SAP landscape is we can able to, it is enabling the real time. This is the main important word here. So most of the event driven architectures are real time and loosely coupled, real time, and they are loosely coupled and highly scalable business processes. Okay, so what is the real time enabling means? So whenever the action or event is happened, immediately the particular event will be triggered, and it will be able to identify by the business process, or you can say the client. So client can able to receive the event. So generally whenever the event driven architectures are here, in every event mesh options in event driven architecture we have the event producer and event consumer. There are two people are there here, event producer and event consumer. So here S4 is a event producer where the event is triggered and it will be processed via the cloud service interface. Okay, cloud service, it may be cloud integration suite which will be on top of a BTP, or it may be cloud service interface. It depends on the license which we take from the SAP, because BTP come up with a lot of the other things we will discuss in the further coming topics of the BTP. But here CPI is going to be the cloud service interface, that is called cloud integration suite. Okay, and that will be acts as a middleware here, which will be this integration event mesh will be activated into the integration suite, and once the activation is done, then we can able to receive or consume the events which are from the either SAP system or non-SAP system. So this is the main thing here about the event driven a landscape which will be we are doing. And also one more point here, cloud services generally we have the cloud, we have two types of event mesh is available. One is the basic event mesh which will be used for the, so for example, if I want to transfer a file, okay, from a non-SAP system to SAP system, so I can use a event mesh which will be able to transfer the file from non-SAP to system, SAP system, or I want to transfer a file from SAP to cloud integration suite to non-SAP system, that I can do via uh, configuring the event mesh. Okay, for example, there is one more concept called advanced event mesh also there. We have the advanced event mesh which will be utilized for multiple consumers. So we have multiple consumers. I will explain with a live example or a life general lifetime example. We can able to understand the advanced event mesh next in the next slide. Okay, so event mesh, we can say event mesh is simply like, if the process is simple, business process is simple, just we want to fire and forget. That means we will trigger something, or for example, invoice is generated, order ID is created. Once the order is created, that's all. The message will be sent to the particular client, and fire and forget will be happened by event mesh. That is enough. So that means for simplicity, event mesh will work. If it is for the multiple receivers, we can say multiple more amount of events we need to process at a time, then we will go for the advanced event mesh configuration. Okay, so let's go to the next slide about the how we can understand the events and event driven architecture. Generally, we can understand that events are something like, what is an event means, it is a significant change in the state. Okay, for example, there is some change which is happened in the state of S4 HANA. We can say if it, the business partner is using S4 HANA as a source system, it is a database or source system. Some update is happened in S4 HANA, then it represents any event. Okay, and it is a meaningful change that system might know about that particular change, what change is happened. Either it may be the update of record or it may be the event. And one more thing is event driven architecture. So there is an architecture here which is called event driven architecture. We are going to understand in the future. This is the important point where how the event driven architecture is built by SAP, how it will be going to support us in the system. And also event driven architecture, software architecture, that comes with a means of interaction between the different components. So what are the components available in event driven architecture? How many components are there between the, how it is coupled between the components, and these are the main things which are we have to understand in the event driven architecture in the future. So in this event driven architecture, we have multiple things like how it will be include in the communication, processing, and persistence. These are the three main things which are available in the events. Okay, communication, processing, and persistence for this particular event driven architecture or event mesh. And key components mainly we discussed, like event mesh is something like there is a source and there is a target. So one will be the consumer, one will be the receiver, right? So one will consume the event, one will be the producer of the event. So you can say the major component of the event producer is the source of the event. So event producer, the one will be the event producer. And one more is event broker. So event broker means he is a middleman. Okay, so the middleman will be something like whatever the produced event which will be carried to the corresponding the event receiver, that means consumer. Okay, so this broker is a middleman here. We can observe that event broker, the name of the broker itself. For example, we are selling a house, right? So we are selling a house. Suppose we are registering in a some website, broker website, 99acres.com something. So that broker website is a broker. So what they do, just he is the producer is the seller and the consumer is the buyer. So here also same concept here. So event will be produced by the system and it will be moved by broker intermediately that manages the event, and then the consumed by the the consumer. Okay, so this is the component, consumer component known as the event component at the end. So generally, apart from the unlike traditional architectures, we have one advantage here. These events are tightly coupled actually. So tightly coupled in the sense there is no deviations. Suppose if the event is triggered, it is subscribed means it will be sent to the particular consumer. So it won't be no deviation. Even deviation of the architectures will be there. So and also the coupling and real-time insights will be available for the entire architectural approach. Okay, and here you can see the basic understanding of what is the event actually. Okay, for example, see, you know the spider web, it is the best example of the life lesson. Okay, what spider do, because to survive the spider will create a spider web, and it will be a sticky substance of the lines of like a thread it will create, and it will be sitting in the middle of the entire web. It is called the event mesh. You can say the spider web is called as event mesh, where the event consumer here, the event consumer is the spider. Okay, so then who is going to generate the event means, for example, there is an insect come into the spider web, the maybe the mosquito is fall into the spider web, the mosquito will automatically try to survive, and it will generate the vibrations. So whenever the vibration is generated by the particular producer, automatically that particular vibration will be automatically recognized by the spider, because via his sticky thread of the spider web which is created by the spider. So automatically what happens, the spider will recognize that particular senses from the particular insect is there in particular area in the spider web, then it will try to have that food, insect as a food. So that means, so here the spider is the consumer and the insect is the event producer, and here the broker is the thicky the thread which is created by the spider, right? That is called the broker. So the entire spider web is acts as a event mesh, and this each line works as a broker here. So I think this will understand what event mesh works like. In similar way, the event mesh works in the SAP system also. And also you can see another example, restaurant pager. Okay, so pager. Suppose if you go to the restaurant, go to the Domino, you may be given an order to for some food, and then automatically you will receive particular token number, and the token number is called on the particular system, then the token is generated, then automatically you will get the particular order. When the number is called, then your order is ready, so that you can able to consume that particular order. Okay, so spider web, and this particular spider web is one of the real time real world example, and also restaurant praiser is real world example for our event driven architecture or event mesh. Okay, to understand, hope it will understand well. And what are the types of events in SAP ecosystem? There are two types of events in SAP ecosystem. One is called notification event, that we are getting notifications. For example, we will get some notification in the Facebook, we will get some notification in the WhatsApp, and all in the mobile, right? The similar way the notification will be sent to the particular consumer by the producer. And also there is one type of event called data events. So notification events and data events, these are the two types of events we can understand here. Now, generally the consumers significant changes with minimal information. So there is no um, large amount of message you will receive, but with a small significant change, you will, with a minimal information, you will get some significant message, that is called notification. So generally it is follow up with an API call for more details. Generally API is something like a different approach. We will discuss about API, how it will work, and event and API both are different, and both are coupled into the different way. Okay, so we have to understand the difference between API and in the next slide. And also, for example, sales order is created, the event containing only sales order ID. So for example, once sales order is created, automatically the particular sales ID which will be containing an event will be created. And let us see what are the data events. So for example, there is a data change in the particular table. So there is a record update, deletion of record, something is happened in the particular database. The additional request is needed to process start immediately. So this is called the data event. Example, an employment assignment information. Okay, hire event containing an employee. For example, you want to hire a particular employee. Yeah, employment hire is happened. So it will be have the data event. It will update in the database. And also it is an employment assignment information. Assignment means so an employee got to be assigned to a particular job. Then it will be passed to the corresponding event tables will be updated in success factors. So success factor works as a direct echo event type architecture, event driven architecture. Some of the event driven architecture success factors will have the system like that one. Okay. And let's see what is the SAP backend system. Generally, most of the SAP backend systems accept SAP success factors, and we have the cloud standard provided and describes the common data access for the platforms of the individual. Let us see here, we can understand what is API and what is the event. So you can see here, generally APIs are in between client and server. So API, you know what is API? It is a URL which will be generated and which will be shared. It will be between the client and server. Okay, but event is something like it is inform interested parties of changes. So it is a client and server means it is a global change, right? It will be change. So for example, you want address of a particular person, then you can give a API. That will API will get a address of the particular person from the server, and it will send to the particular client. And for example, if it is an event, event will be informed to the particular party only. You can observe this point, particular party, that change will be notified, not everyone here. Okay. And here communication style is synchronous here. It is a synchronous. API is always synchronous. So you may trigger API one way, and you can able to receive the corresponding message. That means it okay, the particular data message is already accepted or received. Okay, the API is triggered, the particular client is received the message. So synchronous, it is two-way communication, and it is a blocking type. That means once it is done, it will be blocked. You can able to block also the particular communication style. Asynchronous and non-blocking, generally event is once fire and forget type. It is asynchronous, one way communication. So once the triggered event is happened, then it will automatically goes to the particular receiver. For example, spider example you take. So the insect automatically tries to survive. It will give the vibration is then event. It will go automatically to the spider via its spider web. Okay, so then it automatically the event is received means it is a synchronous way. It won't again the spider won't send any further synchronous communication, right? So it automatically consumes that particular event. So this is called non-blocking asynchronous way of communication. And generally APIs we have to call on our own, but if it is a event, no action is required. Once we configured, it is just for fire and forget mode. Okay, and response always be expected if it is API, because of synchronous communication. Generally event is something like once if it is fired, it will, you can forget it, no answer is expected. Okay, and scalability is there for API. Generally it is a scalable for some time, and scales very well, and great peaks of loads. Generally events are something like no, you can able to check the peak of load particular information on the event driven model. And there is a monitoring and debugging, it is available for API, but for example, if it is event, right, you can't do anything like that. There is a more challenging monitoring and debugging. It is not easy to do the monitoring debug. There is a few chance of cloud suite, but there is not that much feasible for us. Okay, events and API have different strengths and weaknesses generally. Okay, depending on the specific use, and developers can approach real-time synchronous. So I think you can able to understand what is the difference between API and event, right? So events are fire and forget type, and APIs are synchronous, and these are asynchronous mode of the communication. And you can see the event mesh central event broker. Then we will call it as a central event broker generally. So broker acts as a intermediator, or you can say the intermediator between the event producer and event consumer. So the two people will be there, event producer and consumer, and there is a broker in between. Okay, and event mesh is fully managed and cloud-based environment generally, and it is an asynchronous event. So most of the events are asynchronous, and SAP Event Driven Echo, it provides decoupled asynchronous communication. Okay, this is the main one point: decoupled asynchronous information, and also events are real time. Whatever the real-time activity or event is happened, it will automatically process that particular event, and also supports the multiple messaging protocols. Event mesh and event-driven architectures mostly support AMQP. This is the one of the message protocol. MQTT. This is the one event mesh protocol which will be supported, and REST adapter. It is called REST API. We can call it as a REST API, which will be communication of two-way. We can able to configure this in between the systems like SAP S4 or non-SAP, and we can able to trigger that particular messages. High throughput and low latency, this is one of the event mesh point. And quality of service, it has a quality of service QoS levels and discovering catalog capabilities, and event restrictions and consumptions are available in the particular event mesh brokers. And event-driven patterns and SAP systems are two. We already discussed about data event and notification pattern. So notification pattern has some difference between the event data pattern. You can observe here, generally when notification comes in the mobile, you can change, if any change in the SAP backend comes, then it will send a notification, right? And here you can see changes occurs in SAP backend. So if change occurs in SAP backend, the data pattern also will appear, and here also the change occurs in the backend. Okay, and small and event minimum data event is sent to the SAP event. Small event, whatever the event will be triggered in the, it will be sent as a notification. Complete event with relevant data is sent to the SAP notification. Okay, and receives a notification. Consumer can receive the notification. Consumer receives a full data if it is a data pattern. Okay, he will receive the full data, and also complete event and the relevant data is sent to event mesh. So here event with the relevant data also will be sent in the data pattern. Okay, and if interested consumer makes API call for the more data. Generally, if it is a notification, even they can able to create an API also. That API also do a synchronous communication call. A consumer can act immediately within the additional calls. That will be something like a data event pattern, because it is a data included here in the particular event type. Okay, and different backend supports this pattern. Generally, S4 HANA Cloud currently supporting the notifications. Only S4 HANA and cloud which are supporting, and we will discuss more about how they are technically collaborated. Okay, once we able to understand these differences theoretically. And so on-premise S4 HANA, this is a network added support pattern which is available for the both the data and event sources in SAP system. These are the main sources of event system. So event driven architecture, or you can say EDA, we can say it is a event mesh or advanced event mesh. So all terms which comes into event activations. Okay, and we can able to configure by S4 HANA cloud, which will be the cloud environment, and we can able to send outbound notifications to the cloud environments and format. Event provides by SAP and cannot be adjusted. Generally, it is combined with API calls for the additional data. So S4 HANA Cloud is you can able to use, and also there is a ecosystem is on-premise S4 HANA. We can able to configure on-premise S4 also. It has a standard notification events, and which has a custom events and data events and inbound events. So these are the 3 points here. Custom events which will be created by us with a custom message. Okay, and a data event which has a data with the event which is created and added the data, and inbound events also there, which will be a particular NetWeaver we can able to so generally this will come with as an add-on. Actually on premise it will come up as an add-on because it is a cloud platform as for HANA. Okay, this is cloud, and this is that. And also ERP. So also even ECC 6.0, the old versions of ECC also it will add on is required if you want to enable the event driven platform. Okay, event supports notification data events and SDK likely capability to create the customer events also. And also success factors we already discussed, like it has some intelligent services of events. So SAP SF success factors will work like a event driven some of the intelligence. It has a data events that can be adjusted. Even data events also there, like employee role, the role creation. Okay, for example, new employee hired. These are the some of the events which will be acted in the success factor that will be triggered by the cloud services also. Okay, and does not follow cloud event standard. There is no event standard which will be followed in success factors, but it has a intelligent event services which are available. So, and no SAP backend events installed in the configuration security. It must be specific safeguard. Okay, so this is how we can able to use SAP HANA Cloud, SAP on-premise, and also ECC 3.6.03 base systems of SAP and non-SAP systems. Okay, we can able to use as success factors is one of the advantage for the service event. Okay, and you can see here real-time world that cases of event-driven architecture, generally external use cases and integration use cases. These are the two types of cases we have. So generally new user groups which will be provided for the limited backend access generally in the extension cases. We have different access channels for the events, also real-time access channels, and we have the innovation, quick innovation for the extension use cases. Okay, and that means you can able to extend this particular events to the different application standards in the backend and also data portals. Also integration use cases also there. We have driven replication is the one of the real-time data replication, and data enrichment also there. Like you can able to add data from other backends. Okay, while doing replications you can do, and smart triggers you can do, and smart switch also it will be worked as a event driven platform. And getting standard with event driven architecture, we have resources next steps, like so you can see if you log into service interface where you can go to the explorer of discovery hub. There you can see the event mesh, lot of material available at the discovery center. We have a lot of material available in the GitHub also. You can go through the explore more in the about the event driven architecture, how it will work in the SAP. And as SAP business API business hub, generally APIs are worked with the API business hub, where the APIs are synchronous communications. Okay, it will be synchronous communication, and most of the APIs now we can either between the client and server. Okay, so so this is how I think hope this video understands how what is the event and what is exactly the mm, event driven architecture, and also what is the difference between the API and the event driven architecture. In coming videos we can learn in depth of the event driven architecture and event mesh and advanced event mesh further. And thank you everyone.